What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Tuesday edition of NBA DFS Live. It is Tuesday, January 5th. I'm your host, Ben Husser. I'm joined by James today. James, what is your Twitter? Tell the people your Twitter because I need a little tag for your Twitter to put below your name. I don't have it at the moment.
J_Rueb 15.
All right.
My favorite number, 15.
There you have it. That's how you can follow him. We have a smaller slate today than yesterday. You and I were kind of tilting yesterday before we started.
And 5 minutes before the show.
Yeah, literally 5 minutes before. So we're not going to talk about yesterday. We're going to talk about today. Smaller slate. I know you posted in Discord today that 5 to 6 games for you is kind of like the sweet spot, and I'm in agreement. I really like these mid-sized slates. I like them a lot better than the really big ones. So I think it's going to be a fun night. Obviously, I think we have a lot of concentrated ownership today, however, with Kevin Durant being out and some of the other situations going on. So we'll discuss those as we head into it. But what are your thoughts on the slate as a whole?
Yeah, I definitely like this slate a lot. And just touching on like the 5 to 6 game stuff, that's when I had my most success was during the bubble stuff, which was all like 4 to 6 game slates for that like 20-day stretch. So I feel like I love these slates, and you could just really like dig deep into each individual game in comparison to when it's like a 13 game slate. You just feel like there's cross-off games and there's just a lot of information to dive through. So when it's 5 to 6 games and you can really like tap into these rotations and dig into plays, I really like it. My overall thoughts on the slate, I think we do have some pretty clear spend ups. The value is a little thin. There's some good value plays. There's one in particular, which we'll get to, that we both love. And then I think it's kind of thin, and I think that's where you can win the slate, is like picking that second tier of value. I think that's how the slate will be won today.
Yep, I agree. All right, we'll go position by position here. Obviously, if you guys have any questions, you can throw those in. We'll start at point guard. We have Kyrie Irving projected for the most points here, 49. Damian Lillard, 46. Zach LaVine, 41. I mean, I think that I wrote in my article that if I was playing 150 tonight, I would just play 150 Kyrie Irving teams. Like, I don't see any reason not to play him with Durant out. They've been on the floor a lot together this year, so you're taking 30% usage rate off the floor for someone that's already at a 30% usage rate, around 1.4 fantasy points per minute. Not like the greatest matchup of all time, but I mean, you take Durant out. How do you not play Kyrie today at 9,300?
Yeah, I agree. I think cash games, you lock him in, and I don't think it's a spot that you galaxy brain here in tournaments. I just think he's a smash play. We get a few of these every couple of days, and I think he's a no-brainer. Lock him in. I do think Lillard is pretty interesting. I think the construction that'll be popular today is Kyrie, and then like a mid-price spend up, and then another stud with him. And Lillard is definitely in contention for that other stud for me today. So he's someone that I probably won't play in cash unless some more value opens up, but definitely someone you can consider in tournaments. I think probably my favorite point guard here in the mid-range. Actually, I think there's two of them. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Mike Conley. I think he steps into a nice spot today against this Nets team. Conley's actually been sneaky productive this year, and I think it's going under the radar, and I think he goes a little bit under owned today. I mean, he has 50 balls already this year in good matchups. So he's interesting to me. And then the one guy who's just been red freaking hot since Michael Porter Jr. has been out is Jamal Murray. I mean, he has 30% usage rates and high 30s minutes the past 2 games. So he's someone that I'll be looking to go to as well today.
Yeah, I think Murray's really interesting at 76 because you and I both think probably for optimal lineups you want to put Kyrie and Nikola Jokic in. So just playing Murray, I think, if most people are playing Jokic, they're not going to play Murray as well. So that alone should give you some leverage there. What about like farther down in the mids here? Like Karis LeVert's point guard eligible on DraftKings. I don't know what you want to do with him with Durant being out. And then there's maybe some value plays, but nothing great here at point guard, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm pretty off LeVert today, which I think might be a contrarian take. I don't know. I'm not really sure how popular he'll be today. I think he'll get some ownership.
I think he'll be popular on DraftKings. I think he's going to be popular. FanDuel, he'll be really chalky because he's cheap.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
FanDuel is
yeah,
cheap. He's always chalky over there. I don't know. I could see him approaching, what do you think, like 20-25% in cash? Nothing crazy like we're gonna see with Kyrie or TLC, right? Like I don't think he gets out of control.
yeah, 20 to 30 sounds right to me, I think.
Yeah, for cash. And I think probably in the low teens in GPPs. So
Yep.
I mean, you could play him there. I don't know. He seems a little priced up, but if he's going to get all of that usage on the second unit, we've seen what he can do. I just hope that they stagger him and Kyrie a lot because that's when he's most productive.
Yeah, like this is someone that you don't want to start, right? Like you want him like we're not assuming he's gonna start anyways, but it's better that he's not gonna start and he can just chill as the sixth man. So I
Yeah.
agree with that. You have anyone else here? I think we can move to shooting guard honestly. There's just nothing doing for value, I think, at this position.
Yeah, we could definitely move on.
All right, shooting guard. This is an interesting position. You have Paul George leading it off at 8,800. CJ McCollum, Zach LaVine, Donovan Mitchell, D'Angelo Russell. So you kind of think that there's a what would you say like what percentage chance would you put that Kawhi sits today?
I would put it at 70-30 that he plays. So about 30% chance that he sits tonight, I would say. Now that we're kind of approaching lock time and getting closer to the game, I feel like we would have heard a little bit more rumblings about him potentially resting. So the theory behind him resting is that they are on the front end of a back-to-back. He already rested a front end of a back-to-back earlier this year, and they're on a national TV spot tomorrow. I know all the narrative street people are going to be upset about that since he is playing the Spurs tonight, but I do think that there's a possibility that he does sit. I think it's a situation to monitor up until lock. And we were kind of discussing that there's a lot of late swap options in those later games. We actually have some good late games today. So if you're on Zach LaVine or Lillard or McCollum or any of these guys, you could pretty easily pivot onto Paul George and make that work if he was ruled out. And then sticking at shooting guard, one of the better value plays at shooting guard, which we both like regardless of the Kawhi news, is Lou Williams. He seems very underpriced today, and I think he's going to go a little bit under the radar.
Yeah, like Lou Williams, you look at this price tag, 4,300. I know like that's that price tag is reflective of how he's been playing this year, but it just feels so cheap for him, and especially on a slate that we're hurting for value. Like outside of these Nets forwards, like you don't feel great really about any of the value. So, that could be a way to get an extra higher price guy into your lineup. You just take a stand and use Lou Williams. I think that's a really good move, honestly, and I'm probably going to consider it for cash, even though he just hasn't been that good.
Yeah, and then I think on the higher end, we already discussed Paul George. I think Zach LaVine, who we saw was massive chalk and dominated the other night, gets another great matchup against Portland. I'm interested to see how they use Robert Covington in this game. They like to use him as an on-ball defender. I think LaVine plays a lot of off-ball stuff. Like I can see him getting more of the McCollum defense instead of getting the on-ball Robert Covington stuff, which is good. But who knows? I do like LaVine here. Do you think he's a cash game lock today like he was the other night, or do you think we have pivots off of him?
Yeah, I don't think he's a lock. But I do think he's definitely cash game playable, especially if we get any more value opening up to get him in alongside Kyrie and Jokic. Like I think it's fine, but I don't think he's a lock.
Yeah, I agree. I do really like him. And then the one other guy that I want to mention who I actually almost played in cash the other night and he ended up working out was Donovan Mitchell. He's still underpriced. He got off to a rocky shooting start to get the year going. But I think he's someone that we want to invest in at this price. He got up to a 30% usage in their last game, and he finally shot well, 5 for 9 from 3, 8 for 17 from the field. So I think he's someone at this price that we want to be investing in.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about that. Like, I actually think, I don't know, I think him and LaVine are going to have close ownership, honestly, the more I'm looking at this. Because he's a little bit cheaper.
I do. When I went to go build balanced lineups, I was able to fit both of them in. Like, I made a lineup before that the value, I wish the value was better because, man, if I could just play a Kyrie, Mitchell, LaVine, like Jokic kind of line, I would feel pretty good about that going into tonight.
Yeah, I agree. So that's definitely going to be a decision we have to make. Is there any value plays you like here? You have Jarrett Culver. You want to go back down that route?
Man, I mean,
He's
I
a
thankfully
hundred
didn't
more than
play
Lou
him.
Will.
I thankfully didn't play him during the foul trouble game for him, and then he blows up last game.
Yeah, he was chalk
I
like
just,
two slates in a row, and then the slate that he's not owned at all, he goes off like
of
naturally.
course, yeah. I mean, that's NBA DFS for you, right? I think the one guy who's really cheap and like not very exciting is PJ Dozier, like last guy in stuff that I was talking about. Like if you're looking for a guy who's going to play 20 minutes to try to make it all work, but I don't know. Value is very thin, and I think you're going to need to take some stands somewhere. I think maybe the best place to do it is at other positions because we do like spending up here at shooting guard. But what do you think? I don't think shooting guard will be a place I pay down, and if I do, it'll probably be Lou Williams. So not all the way down.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. There is one we can monitor the news on Kentavious Caldwell Pope if he was out. So I think who would you? I think it benefits Horton Tucker, Kuzma a little bit. I guess Wesley Matthews. Not someone I really want to play, but I mean, there's just no value, right?
Yeah, I think one thing, if Kawhi is out, Luke Kennard comes into the
Yep.
discussion as a really, really good play. And listen, if this news comes out after lock, I mean, these guys are going to come in so low owned. We've seen here early in the year, Ben and I tried to swap. I mean, we swapped onto the Sixers stuff last week when Embiid got ruled out after lock, and we got some really good ownership on these guys. It didn't end up working out because it blew out, but I think that those are the type of situations where over the long term, you're going to be successful swapping after lock to get onto these low-owned guys who would have been chalk if the news came out an hour before lock.
Yeah, and I think this season especially, it's going to be even more valuable to just pay attention to your phone because there's going to be random stuff that we aren't even expecting that's just going to pop up even more so than in recent years. So that is a good point. We'll move to small forward. LeBron, Kawhi, DeRozan. Obviously, Paul George is there as well on FanDuel. Kawhi. Okay, so I don't think you want to play Kawhi even if he's in. I know you're not a huge revenge guy, correct? So
No, I'm not a narrative guy, unfortunately. I have some buddies who are narrative guys, and that's the first thing they text me today is Kawhi playing San Antonio. So people are excited about it.
yeah, and then some of these mid-tier guys like Keldon Johnson's been on fire with LMA out. You have Kyle Anderson who's been playing really well. Dylan Brooks, a couple guys from Memphis. I really like those Memphis guys today, but I don't know if I'll be able to fit them into like my cash game build. We'll wait and see. Do you like anyone to spend up at this position? Like I think like maybe DeRozan. Like I don't know, 7,900 still isn't just not that great of a price though.
Yeah, so I think the story of small forward is just like a bunch of guys are like priced correctly is I think the issue. Like DeRozan,
Yep.
we were playing him when he was under 7K, now he's up to 8. Kyle Anderson was a 5K player, now he's up to 6'3. Keldon was all the way down in the 4s, now he's up to 6'5. Like it just feels like there's been a massive price correction here at small forward. Like you brought up Rudy Gay, like I guess he's okay, but like where's the upside in that? I don't know. I think we're burying the lead here at small forward. I think we all know who the play of the day is at small forward, and it's Mr. TLC. He's another lock button consideration for me just because of how the value is on this slate. I know that you love TLC. I love TLC. What do you think about him, Ben?
Yeah, TLC wrote him up in my article at the forward spot. Pretty easy DraftKings play, but you're playing him in cash. I'm assuming he's going to be really high owned in cash. This isn't the same situation that we saw the other week when Kyrie and Durant were both out. Like obviously Kyrie is still there and he's going to take a lot of the usage offensively, but he's so cheap and he's going to be on the floor playing the minutes, so it's fine on a slate where there's no other good value. I will say I would be fine not playing TLC in tournaments if I play him in cash. I don't know if you disagree with that.
I think I probably would be overweight in tournaments too, but I think on a different slate, I think there would be merit to fade, but it just feels like the value is so thin, and he's really just such a standout play down low, and you need the savings today with so many good games and places to target that I really like him today, even though the matchup isn't great. I mean, Utah's a good defensive team, protect well around the rim with Rudy, but I still think that that he would be a smash play for me today.
Yeah, the problem is there's no one like to pivot to if you're not going to use him. But
Yeah.
Before we move on, I just want to touch on the Memphis guys in tournaments. I think Brooks, I think, is a really good play. Had 24 DraftKings points in his last game, and he just shot really poorly. But, I mean, he's just been chucking the ball whenever he gets in his hands with Ja Morant out. So I think he is interesting. Do you prefer him or Kyle Anderson if you're picking one of the Memphis guys?
That's a good question. I think you said Brooks or Anderson?
Yeah, like if you're picking one of those guys.
Yeah, if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Brooks, just for the upside of if his shot's on. You know, we know that he's going to get his shots up. I actually used to be a slow-mo hater. I used to be a Kyle Anderson hater, but he was good to me both times I played him this year. So I think I'm retracting a little bit.
Yeah, he kind of had like a cult little like fan base, didn't he? He really did.
Yeah, he did. Dude, he was one of the top recruits out of high school in the country. I mean, people, when he went to UCLA, there was a lot of hype around him. I may take that back. I think I'm going to go Kyle Anderson over Brooks.
His usage rate has actually not been bad at all. Yeah, I think they're both interesting plays. I think it's his forehead for me.
He had a 32% usage rate last time out against the Lakers. And then the first two times that Morant was out, he got up to 27 and 28. So, I mean, he's slow-mo, but
yeah,
I mean, those are some
his
pretty
forehead
good
just throws me off, dude. Like, it just is awkward. But
no, watching him like back down the defense and like do his really slow spins, and then somehow he gets an open layup. It's not very exciting to watch. It's not like you're watching one of these like hyper athletic guys who are getting boards and rebounds. He actually falls into a ton of rebounds.
Yeah, he's a good rebounder.
And he's going to have a big ball handling role. Conchar is out for them, who had a ball handling role. So Kyle Anderson is going to get under 20% all three times he's been on the main slate without Morant in. So it's interesting spot for sure.
Definitely. My question thing is bugged, so you guys know if you're watching this, I'm not ignoring you. We're not ignoring any questions. It's just bugged on my thing. I'm gonna set it up so James can see it the next time that we do this, so that if I have issues,
I'm gonna pull up our YouTube chat now.
Pull up YouTube chat, and then if there's questions in there, we can answer those.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Power forward, Anthony Davis, DeRozan, who we talked about a little bit, Keldon, who we talked about a little bit, Kyle Anderson, who we just talked about. Like, this is a really bad position today. Probably somewhere you're going to want to save, because I'm not going to be able to get to Anthony Davis in cash games at 9,500. Kuzma, you can see not projecting very well, but would get a nice bump if Caldwell Pope is out. So maybe someone we could look at 5.5. What are you doing at this position? I know you and I kind of talked about Paul Millsap before we got in here at 4,700. Might be the best value play at this position, I feel like, unless you want to go the Nets route.
Yeah, I think power forward is really thin today. I mean, we got on and we were discussing some of these options beforehand, and I don't know. I'm not playing Thaddeus Young tonight. Couldn't pay me to do it. I won't be putting my hard-earned dollars on Thaddeus Young tonight. So, I mean, Paul Millsap's the easy alternative. Our boy, Kyle Anderson, power forward eligible as well. Maybe the position is saved after all, Ben.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, how can we get him in here?
Somehow Ben and I have just talked ourselves into playing Kyle Anderson tonight, somehow, some way. But seriously, though, I mean, the position is so ugly. There's nobody that I even remotely want to play outside of Kyle Anderson, Paul Millsap. You could, I guess, talk me into Jeff Green, but that's ugly.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to mention Jeff Green and Taurean Prince both probably will see some extra minutes. Prince, I'm assuming, will start with Durant out. They're really cheap, but like you just can't expect them to do much, but at the same time, they're so cheap. Like they could easily, beat their price tag. It's just like
Yeah,
tough
and
to trust those guys in cash, I feel.
Prince was 40% owned last time out, and he only got to 18 minutes.
Yep.
So he put up 17 fantasy points in those 18 minutes with a pretty decent usage rate, 25%. But I mean, still, it's pretty ugly going down to him. So it might be some Kyle Anderson in our future.
Yeah, he's definitely my favorite play. I think we can mention real quick. What's your take? Obviously, we like Anderson more, but Brandon Clarke is a thing at 5,300. I guess if people want to do that.
Yeah, he's fine. I think he's super low owned. Anytime he's 5,300 and cheap, I'll definitely consider him.
Yep, I agree. We'll move on to center here. Obviously, Joker highlights the slate here at almost 11K. I mean, this guy, he should have a triple double every game. He's really close. What is he? A couple, 2-3 rebounds off of having that every game.
He's the best. I mean,
Yeah.
he's gonna. I think he's gonna win MVP. Like that's how impressive he is. I mean, I saw a Twitter highlight of this no look pass he had the other night, and it might have been the best pass that I've ever seen in the NBA. That's how good it was from a 7-foot center. I mean, what he does on the basketball court is so impressive. Usage rate spike without Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray isn't going to stay this hot forever. So and just wait for the Jokic 30-10-10 game because it's coming, and you want to be invested when it happens. And there's no better matchup than against this terrible defensive Minnesota team. I mean, they're starting Ed Davis tonight, who we're going to get to when we talk about value here at this position, and they're starting him because they can't dare throw Naz Reid out there against Jokic. I mean, they're just going to get dominated down low. They miss Towns rim protection, and they miss Okogie actually on the wing. I mean, he was their best on-ball defender. So they are a mess right now, the Timberwolves.
Yeah, they have nothing to throw at them at all. I thought it was interesting. Second in the NBA in potential assists per game behind only Russell Westbrook, Nikola Jokic. Is just crazy.
Yeah,
it's just
what
crazy.
did I see? It was like 18.9 or something like that when I was looking at it.
Almost 19. Crazy.
I mean, that's insane. That's insane from a center.
All right, so
he's a unicorn. He's a unicorn.
Yeah,
he's a freak.
We're agreeing. We're plugging him in to cash. So
I will be playing Jokic in cash. Yep.
Yeah. So outside of him, Rudy Gobert is 77 against Brooklyn. I think that is interesting with people invested in the Nets tonight. I think an interesting tournament route to get some of the Jazz on the other side. Obviously, I think Gobert's interesting. Jovel 76, Nurkic. Man, Nurkic is like, I love Nurkic, but like I feel like every time he's always cheap in these matchups like this against Chicago, and you're just like, dude, he could just absolutely go off in this matchup, and he's so cheap. So I'm always interested in him in tournaments, but not a cash game play today.
Dude, I think the guy that's going to get ownership between the two of them, which I would be going with the Nurkic route as well. But I mean, there's people, the game log lovers are going to love Enes Kanter today. I mean, he just dropped 40 fantasy points last time out. Now he gets this weak Chicago team. So he's going to be popular in tournaments. I won't be personally playing him today, I don't think. The one guy that we talked about that I brought up for value that we can get more into is Ed Davis. We both like Ed Davis's profile as a player. He got in a lot of foul trouble last time. So did Naz Reid, but they have to throw bodies at Jokic. It's the only way they could possibly compete. He didn't close last game because of the blowout, but he did close the second half. I mean, the first half. He did get the last run in the first half. So if he's playing well on Jokic, they're gonna keep him out there, and he could get into the high 20s minutes. And at 3.4K, it makes him an appealing value on a slate with limited value.
Yeah, I think we both agree. You want to put him into your cash lineup right now with Jokic. So that's kind of gonna, like, you and I, like, we're gonna have a ton of interest in any of these other centers, like, for cash games. Can I interest you in a little Marcus Gasol revenge game? I know someone in chat is gonna ask about
that. Probably not. They played them. Didn't they play them 2 nights ago? Was it? And they played a tribute video for him, and and there was a video circulating online about it, and he didn't pay off then. So if he wasn't going to do it in the first time out, I don't know why he would do it this time.
Yeah, I think Nurkic is probably the best tournament play here, to be honest.
I actually liked your Gobert take. So just from a macro level, whenever we have like really intriguing value, like we have with the Nets, and same thing like we had with the Nets last time they were in this situation. Anytime there's like some elite value on one team and you know for sure that you really like two players from that one team, it just makes so much sense to correlate them with guys on the other side and hope that that game just plays faster and more up tempo, or even goes to overtime. And I think we're getting in at really good prices here on Gobert and Mitchell, and their pricing is in a weird spot on this slate with everyone wanting to jam in Kyrie and Jokic, that I think if you just go a little bit more balanced and you can get both of them in with some Nets value and Kyrie and kind of create a game stack there without giving up much in projection.
Yeah, I agree. And Gobert's not someone that I typically play in DFS, but I've played him quite a few times already this season. He's been a lot more involved offensively.
He's fantastic on FanDuel too. I mean, he just fits FanDuel scoring so well. And I actually think he's even lower owned over on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings today. So he is very appealing over on FanDuel to me, where he may be a little bit more expensive, but you're getting him at a massive ownership discount.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. I mean, that about does it position-wise. We can kind of just talk about the slate as a whole here, but you can give me a bold call if you would like as well.
So I kind of gave my tournament take where I think that we should be invested in Utah, but I just think a full onslaught of that Utah game. Like give me a Conley, Gobert, Mitchell with TLC, Kyrie, and then 3K guy from the Nets. Stack up that game and then plug in those last two spots. I think that is a super interesting tournament route to go, especially on a 5-game slate. I mean, with all these blowouts that we've seen in the NBA so far, of these 5 games, we could see 2 of them just be completely irrelevant because of blowouts, just with the way the league is going right now. I don't know what it is. What do you think is contributing to that, Ben? The blowouts right now? Is it like the shortened preseason, shortened off season? I don't think that's it, just because some of these teams have had off for so long. But what do you think is contributing to these blowouts?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation, like you said. So you have some of these teams that were just playing at the end of the summer, right? And now they're playing again. But then you have these other teams that, when did the NBA shut down the first time? It was like middle of March, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we're going on like almost a full year of not playing. Like, it's crazy. I don't know. It's definitely like, so it's like a layer that we're going to have to add to our DFS research. Like, I'm typically someone that was on team, like, don't really worry about blowouts, like, because I can't predict it. But the way that it's been going this year, like, you're going to have to bake that into your research, because so many of these games are turning into blowouts. Like, it's a lot more relevant than I think it was in the past.
Yeah, I will say one little contrarian play I think is Jared Allen. If you're looking for someone who's going to take on a little bit more usage, maybe have a little bit more secured role, and they might need his size today against the Jazz. I mean, he played 26 minutes last time, put up 40 fantasy points, 22% usage rate, double machine. So he's someone, I think, if you want to get weird in that little Nets Jazz game stack that I was talking about, Jared Allen might be a way to do it.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I mean, it didn't take long for like this DeAndre Jordan thing to start to trend down, right? I mean,
I think the first time the Nets were on the slate, me and you both said to each other, like every minute DeAndre Jordan plays over Jared Allen, like we just put our hands over our head and get upset about it. So we do have some questions in the chat from Jacob Brown. He said, is it safe to go a balanced build and single entry with like 30 people in it? Absolutely, Jacob. I mean, I've seen it more so this year than in past years. Balanced lineups are dominating the lobby right now. I don't know if you're seeing that as much as I am, Ben. I know not to bring up yesterday, but we both went stars and scrubsy instead of the more balanced route like the industry did, and we kind of regretted it. So do you think maybe getting off Jokic and living in that 7 to 8K range is viable?
Yeah, I think it is. And like, so we're talking about blowouts. Like the guys that are really going to get limited in blowouts are the stars, right? So if you're saying that it's a greater chance that some of these games blow out, like I got Giannis, for example, like if you're spending up for him and it's a good chance that he gets limited minutes wise, like that's obviously going to affect your lineup. And I feel like it's kind of been ingrained in people's heads recent years to go stars and scrubs because there's always so much value in NBA. But I definitely think going balanced is a good move.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And then Jacob also asks, are Wendell Carter and Ibaka out of consideration? I think that they're more larger field GPP plays. I don't. What do you think about that, Ben? I think Ibaka definitely gets a bump if Kawhi is out.
Yeah, Ibaka could be someone you could swap onto if he was ruled out. Carter, I'm fine with, but like his price, like they were super aggro with this price after like that first couple nights. So it's just like I would rather play someone like Jared Allen over him. I think at the same position.
Yeah, me too as well. I think ownership is taken a ton into the DK pricing algorithm because we saw Ibaka was pretty chalky on one of those first two slates, and then we haven't looked back. He's been overpriced every slate since. So
Yeah, I agree. Man, I think that about does it. I'm gonna go do final thoughts. I'll get that posted on the website. We were having some issues with our Twitter. We're pretty sure Anthony's in Cancun, and we think that he logged we think that he logged into our Twitter in Mexico, and it just messed it all up. So
yeah,
you can
Anthony broke social media. So
you can still view our Twitter. It just says it's restricted until we can contact him to fix like answer his phone and get the code. But regardless, my bold call for today. You're gonna hate this. Dame goes for 50 real points. That's my bold call today.
I don't hate that. I do not hate that. So.
All right. But thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. I think with Bales. I don't even know. I don't know who I'm with tomorrow.
I think you and Bales tomorrow.
All right, I'll be back tomorrow with Bales. There's a lot more games than today, so probably be interesting. But if you guys have any more questions, you can hit us up in Discord. And good luck tonight.